I'm Eric Barnes with the Daily Memphian, and welcome to The Sidebar, a weekly show on the community, arts, culture, and more. Today we're very pleased to be talking with Cequita Monique, the founder of the first Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series at the Center for Southern Folklore. So stay with us for a conversation with Cequita. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
There were a lot of words in that because it's the first Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series, and even though it's written down in front of me, you heard me struggle. But are you founder of it? I introduced you that way. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And talk about, do the quick 30-second version of what the series is, and then we'll talk much more about it.
So 2025 was a great inspiration and opportunity to jump in on some live stage stuff for Cequita Monique. I do independent contracting stuff. And so this was an opportunity to say, hey, let me stick my toe in, what we feeling like downtown, Center for Southern Folklore, let's activate it. There's some things happening downtown. So 2025, we kicked off this every first Sunday of the month, Jazz Jam, because Memphis is jazz. And I sing jazz, and it was an opportunity for me to sit in some of that and also get to play with some of the local phenomenals around, young and younger, more seasoned artists that I've played with through the years, and several new but very good young talent. A lot coming out of the Memphis Jazz Jam workshop. And so we're working very close with all of Memphis' finest and bringing generations together every first Sunday of the month from 2 to 5 at the Center for Southern Folklore, which is also a treasure. That was an inspiration.
It's a really cool place. There's one more this year, and then you'll take a pause and we'll talk about 2026. So
Absolutely.
That one will be coming up. What would that be? November 2nd?
There are actually two this year.
Two more.
We got November and December.
Okay.
First Sunday, please come.
Okay.
This Sunday, November 2nd, which is the first Sunday in November. And be careful because I think the time is doing something. Moving back. Leaping. Falling.
Spring forward, fall back.
Yeah.
So you put your clock back, right?
Yeah.
It's the end of daylight saving time.
Well, whatever. That's technically
that's
all
exactly
I know
it. So don't miss the gig. We're 2 to 5, and that's whatever time you move the time to. And so W.C. Handy's birthday's in November, and so W.C. Handy is a Memphis treasure. And so this November we'll be singing songs and doing some of the story of his inspiration for being in Memphis and while being in Memphis. And so that's the kickoff for a series in 2026. It's a sneak peek for that. But December is also Cequita sings holiday songs with friends and the Culture House Band. And so that's a holiday party to kind of close out the year 2025.
You mentioned, we'll come back to the sneak peek for 2026, but people also know your name from Precious Cargo.
Absolutely.
What was Precious Cargo?
Precious Cargo was a vibe. It was a coffee house where live music, art, conversations with people in Memphis and coming through Memphis could gather at the Pinch District, at the foot of the pyramid, in this amazing time in Memphis. And so it was a coffee house where we gathered and had strong conversations, created a whole lot of music and culture around good coffee and good food.
The Tri-State Defender had a great line before Memphis had its first Starbucks, before downtown had a recognized art scene, before the Green Room at Crosstown Concourse became a place for live music, there was Precious Cargo. Yeah. I thought that was great.
It was, and it still is. Interesting thing about Precious Cargo, this year, the actual building was demolished as a part of the reno in the St. Jude district, which is beautiful. We love that. And so that's why the spirit is still alive and well and not kept in a space. So we're moving to the Center for Southern Folklore, which is a Memphis treasure, and just doing some things that were inspired by the time that Precious Cargo stood in a space.
Yeah. So let's talk about with the we were talking a little bit before we started with the W.C. Handy tribute on November 2nd. You said music and dialogue, and
Yes.
that really does preview what you'll be doing for all of 2026?
Well, that's a part of it. We're doing the PCE production company is a new presenter in Memphis. It's born out of that Precious Cargo era. And so one of the projects is this Memphis series, which is live vignettes, musical vignettes that bring to life these Memphis legends, Alberta Hunter, Memphis Minnie, W.C. Handy in November, Lil and Louis Armstrong, who a lot of people don't know. And they are really, really Memphis icons. And so we just want to bring them to the stage, bring them alive with the dialogue and music that tells their story and tells a rich, vibrant story of Memphis that so many don't know.
Yeah. And where, before I forget, where can people go to kind of get the schedule and everything? Is it on the Center for Southern Folklore?
Center for Southern Folklore.
Okay.
Every first Sunday, there is a Cequita Monique Facebook page.
Okay.
First Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up on Eventbrite and all things jazz in Memphis.
Yeah. Okay. So if they search for your name, they search for Center for Southern Folklore,
yes,
they can get to the information
First
about this.
Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up. Yeah. Closing out 2025. Sneak peek for 2026.
Yes. And what's the date on the one in December? Do we know that first Sunday is
7th, I think, but don't quote.
Okay, Natalie's gonna pull that up first.
The 7th.
It's the 7th. So that one's on December 7th. Do people need tickets in advance or just show up?
That's what we like to encourage. But what we've learned, I'm a theater person. I work in the education department with the Orpheum. It doesn't matter who it is. We kind of walk up at the last minute. We don't take that for granted. We like to encourage advance tickets just because it's good to know.
Yeah.
So we actually heard that that's specifically true about jazz on an old episode.
Oh, we did hear that. Who were we talking to?
So I don't know where those rumors are coming from.
No, I do remember that.
Buckman?
Yes. We did the Buckman Center, and they were kind of serious.
And we love it. It was something about those just walking up. And so I get it. In New York City, you get discounts and all that kind of stuff. But there's like more fees if you walk up because people want you to come early. But just come and get your tickets whenever you get them early. Get them before the show's over, or donate if you don't. So.
Yeah. Let me take a moment, do a little bit of housekeeping. Remind everyone we're here with Cequita Monique. We're talking about the first Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series at the Center for Southern Folklore. Again, coming up on November 2nd, the W.C. Handy tribute, and then another holiday themed show, December 7th, coming up. But I'll remind everyone, I'm Eric Barnes, and this is The Sidebar. It airs here on WYXR 91.7 every Thursday at 11:30. Focused on the community, arts, culture, and everything in between. It's not just a radio show, though. It's one of many podcasts we do at the Daily Memphian, including our morning podcast, AM DM, with Mary Casciola and Natalie Van Gundy, who's sitting next to me and produces all of our work. We also have that's 5 days a week. We also have the Memphis Grizzlies podcast, which is in full force right now with Chris Harrington and Drew Hill, and Soundbites, our food podcast hosted by Holly Whitfield. And that also airs here on WYXR every Thursday at 11, right before the Sidebar. All of our podcasts are available on the Daily Memphian site, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We also host the podcast version of Behind the Headlines, the TV show we produce every week with the folks at WKNO. And you can get all that show as well at WKNO.org, the Daily Memphian, and you can get it as a podcast. All of the WYXR shows, including this one, are available at the WYXR.org website or on the WYXR app. That includes all the shows that are talk shows as well as music shows, archives of the various music shows from all the various 100-something DJs and hosts that WYXR has. If you're not a supporter of WYXR, do consider becoming one. It is nonprofit, listener-supported radio. You can become a member and get all kinds of member benefits. You can also just do a one-off donation. Go to the website and you can learn more about that. And if you're not a paid subscriber to the Daily Memphian, do consider becoming one. Paid subscriptions pay for about half of what we do. The largest newsroom in the area. We just celebrated our 7th anniversary, going into our 8th year, which is kind of crazy. And we are a nonprofit, and so also do donations over there. It covers about 25% of what the Daily Memphian does. Coming up soon on the Sidebar, we've got folks from the Latino Chamber. We've also got a show, Grind City Amp, which is a music series up at the Grind City Brewery in North Memphis, a great location, just a kind of cool, out-of-the-way place in the industrial. It's really great up there. We recently had Lisa Beasley, who hosts a health-related show here on WYXR, and we also had Quincy Morris, who is the head of the Klondike and Smoky City Community Development Corporation. On Behind the Headlines this week, we are taking a trip to Millington, figuratively, not literally, but looking at all kinds of developments and changes and kind of the history of Millington. We already pre-taped it, so I know it was actually a really great conversation, not for anything I did, but just sort of how things have changed, the Navy base, all of the stuff that goes on in Millington. It was a really great, interesting conversation. And coming up in the next few weeks, we've got Justin Pearson, the state House representative, and who has recently declared his candidacy for the U.S. House of Representatives seat that Steve Cohen holds. We're trying to get Steve Cohen on. We're also trying to get David Kustoff on and other folks coming on Behind the Headlines in coming weeks. Recently, just last week, we had Josh Spickler from Just City and Cardell Oren from Stand for Children, Tennessee. But it was a great show talking about difficult stuff around the federal intervention, the federal presence of law enforcement. We also had Paul Young on the show, mayor of Memphis, a couple weeks back. And right before that, a group of county commissioners all reflecting on what this means and could mean to have this much federal law enforcement and focus on Memphis. There were a whole range of opinions and thoughts, much more complicated than I think a lot of people think. So that was all on, again, Behind the Headlines. You can get that at WKNO.org, the Daily Memphian, or you can get it as a podcast. You can get it as YouTube, get it on YouTube, and you can get it as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Last bit of housekeeping from me. Our commercial real estate seminar, our biggest and last seminar of the year, business seminar, is December 4th at 3 p.m. at the Botanic Garden. It'll feature a big conversation about all things, not just commercial real estate, but just business and economic development in Memphis with a number of CRE professionals. And we've got Paul Young, Mayor of Memphis, just mentioned him. He'll be sort of keynoting, headlining that, talking, doing a Q&A with me about business and economic development and so on. Again, that's December 4th. At 3 p.m. You need tickets. So you can go to the Daily Memphian site, go to the navigation, pick seminars, or you can just go right to Eventbrite and search for Daily Memphian and you'll be able to get that. That is, again, December 4th at 3 p.m. That was a lot. There was a lot of updates, but thank you, Cequita, for listening to go through all that stuff.
Oh, it's great. Your voice is lovely.
Well, thank you. That's great. So when did you start getting involved with jazz? Let's go way back in time.
So, I think I was born into jazz. My family were gospel folk, but then inside of the gospel, we were music people. And so jazz, blues, classicals, all things music were a part of my upbringing, in my family, in my community, in my schools. I remember, I was telling my husband recently, I can remember in my elementary school, maybe third grade, the teacher after lunch one day came and shut the lights down a little bit, put lighted candles. We had pomegranate fruit. We picked those seeds and listened to jazz music. Wow. And I remember...
You went to a much cooler elementary school than I did.
Let me tell you, when I think it was the teacher, the school as a whole, but I think it was the teacher that had a great sense of just sensory stimulated learning and sound, sight, smells, touch, feel, all things. And so jazz came alive for me very early because I heard it in my backdrop. I did a show a few years ago when we were in COVID. And one of the things I think that resonated for me is that it's like jazz or music in general, but jazz specifically, I think, because it speaks to a mood. And I think we just have it in the streets. We have it in the walls, just like we have all things live music and culture. So it's always been with me. I can't remember not knowing jazz.
Yeah. Wait, now I have to ask, what school?
So I think that was Alton Elementary, which is in South Memphis. And I don't know that school is even
Yeah,
there
that's what it changed.
still.
Yeah.
So much has changed, but I remember such good things about that time and that school in particular, with the way things were being shared. Knowledge was being introduced, information was being shared.
It's such a vivid, lovely, wonderful memory. And it reminded me, I definitely never had a teacher do that. But I remember after lunch, around that age, there was a teacher who was particularly good at just turning the lights down and reading. And we read, I didn't remember the book, but she was just a very good spoken word reader. And it was this great calming 30 minutes that felt like 3 hours.
That's right.
You know, and some kids would fall asleep.
Yeah, they would,
and that was allowed.
That's
you know,
right.
your post-lunch.
You could do that.
You could rest. You could just, but for me, those were defining moments of like listening to stories out loud that way. So anyway.
Same here. She did stories. She did all things art, culture, exposure, just kinesthetic learning. And in a way that wasn't regular.
Yeah. When you talked about coming out of, you're exposed to and experiencing jazz and blues and gospel. Let me ask a really dumb question. This is a dumb question from someone who loves music and does not understand. I can't play a note of music. None of
that's not necessary.
But where are those distinctions between jazz and blues and gospel?
So you might have different perspectives, because that's an interesting question for me. I've always thought, why is there such a difference? It's only so many notes.
Right.
So that's the theory of it.
Right.
But in terms of, like, let's take, for instance, a W.C. Handy, who came from a very spiritual background. Grandfather was a minister. Father was a minister. He was expected to be a minister, but he wanted to play this horn. They thought it was an evil thing. Gabriel played the horn. How could it be evil? But it's the way you frame the music. And people like Alberta Hunter would say, people say it's jazz or the blues, but it's a 12-bar phrase. Well, when W.C. Handy was doing it, it was a certain cadence. But when Jimmy Lunsford came and played with it, it was a different kind of twang. Same notes, same, maybe different temperament, maybe different intention, but the same framing. And the way you sit in it, I guess, is what makes it different for you, or the words. But if you're not doing words and you're just playing music, it's all spiritual for me. But people can make the distinction. So many gospel-based artists struggled with the fact that they would or wouldn't sing jazz or the blues, because I'm just reading this passage about Lil and Louis Armstrong last night, because I'm writing for the shows for the series. And it's very interesting how there is a real distinction about the good and the bad of these very few notes. I think it's all good.
It's interesting to me, again, as someone who loves music but can't play a note or really even describe the different music. I'm a big Miles Davis fan. And Miles Davis, it's all jazz, but if you go from like Birth of the Cool, which is kind of very traditional, to then Kind of Blue, whichever, and that kind of blue, then my favorite is all of the Bitches Brew, In a Silent Way, and the live versions of that stuff, which the live version, and I found a bunch of these live versions of some of the stuff from Bitches Brew and In a Silent Way, played live. It's like a 70s rock concert in terms of the volume and intensity and all of that. Frequency. But it's all jazz.
And that's the thing. We frame it with these words. If that works to categorize or whatever. But what we know is that it is alive. And so to frame it, to call it something, it's music for me. It's art and culture. And so I appreciate the variance, the range of what it can be and how it speaks to us in different ways. But to me, it's a high frequency. And if we stay within that, I think whatever we call it, hopefully it can be felt in our spirits and keep us alive to communicate and enjoy.
You play with is it the same band? I mean, you talked about playing with a bunch of different people.
So the Culture House Band is the
like
house band.
Kind of the core group, is that fair?
A Culture House Band is just a band for me because there are so many rich, seasoned, traveled musicians in Memphis. It's an opportunity to lock in, but to also create space for everybody to know that there's eventually a place to sit in.
Yeah.
Jam sessions and opportunities to be a part of something that changes. Yeah. There is a staple, but it changes. Yeah. So come on for the change.
Right. And again, we're talking to Cequita Monique, the first Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series. I'm sorry, I keep screwing that up. It's at the Center for Southern Folklore, 2 to 5 p.m. Yes. The next one is on November 2nd, right around the time that the time is changing, so watch your clocks. And then December 7th will be the last one of this year, and then a series coming up in 2026. People can go to Eventbrite, go to Facebook, just look for Center for Southern Folklore or the Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series to get tickets and times and all those kinds of things. I've asked other musicians this before, and it's interesting, like the way in musical people, is there like what is the music you listen to in your car alone? Is it the music we're talking about, or is it very off? Is it different? Or
it changes.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on where my husband left the radio station. Yeah. Where the teenager has the radio station. A lot of talk radio. I read and listen on my audio books a lot of times if I'm riding long distance. But all of it is, I like it. I was telling my son about Delta Dawn, the song that we were trying to come up with who it was. And I sang it and he thought, did you make that up? And I'm like, no, I love that song. And I sang it as a kid because that was some of my early inspirations. I'm in Memphis, it's Tennessee. Country music is mine. Yeah. And because all music is rich. Yeah. And it's the same notes. It's just the story that you're telling or where you sit in the beat. And so I'm listening to all of it. Yeah. And I love it all at different times of day. I'm fed in different ways, but all of it is good. And hopefully, I like Memphis because we got stations that play it all. Yeah, right. We got it's not just one. If you change that dial, you get a whole different groove, and still it's good. Yeah. Is there a kind of music? So I asked Steve Selvage this one time, a guitarist and singer and artist here in Memphis, and plays with Hold Steady, plays with his own band, plays with all that. And I asked him, is there a type of music that, I can't remember the exact question, that you would never play or haven't played? And he took it in a different direction. He's like, look, I've played jazz, but I don't normally do that. I don't do that as a profession. I don't do it with my bands. Right. And I really like to listen to jazz because I don't play it. He said, when I listen to the kind of music I play, he gets in his head. And he's thinking about how they put that song together, and he's like thinking about how he might do it differently. And he's working in his brain, versus jazz for him is a type of music that he just completely enjoys because he's not breaking it down. Do you have that kind of dynamic with music when you're listening to music, or you sound like you more really just enjoy it? I'm inspired by all things. And so I stay open to the inspiration of whatever it is, because it's not very linear for me. It's all things. And so when you were speaking, I thought about, I don't know that there's anything I wouldn't play. I like folk music. We're in this Halloween season. I don't think about evil stuff.
Although you're saying this as you wear a wizard witch's hat.
Because it's for a wise woman.
Yeah, excuse me. I mean,
Natalie's inspired.
I mean witch in a good way.
That's right. Because we understand that. That's right. And so, but and as far as stay holistic. Yeah. Stay open. Yeah. Even if, my great aunt who passed away. She is really like the epitome of blues to me. She said, you don't know nothing about no blues. You can't sing no blues. And I'm thinking, really? And to the extent that I've not lived that experience of hard life.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the story that can inspire the music that's coming through me. So no, I have not lived this hard life.
Yeah.
But I'm a vessel that carries the legacy of the ones that have lived. And so I can evoke that energy if I'm attentive to what has already been in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so I'm staying open to that, so that through the winds, the whistles, the howls of the wolves, whatever it is, I'm a channel vocally, because that's vibration.
I've always thought that's really beautifully and interestingly put. I mean, because I've always thought it was strange when people would criticize an artist for singing something, whatever that wasn't true to their experience or something. I was like, it's a performance in every sense. I mean, I guess there are certain types of singer-songwriters who really are strictly telling their story, and that's fine.
Right.
But most of other people they're creating a world, they're creating both in the music and the lyrics and the singing, and they're not responsible for having been that person or that place, right? Why? It's a strange dynamic, but it's that way in which people connect with an artist and want this truth from them that
sometimes
it's
they don't want it to be. But
yeah, and not in a bad way. It's performance.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Yeah. Last question, and we'll go back and we'll tell everybody where they can get tickets and all that. But I always ask people what their first concert was. You sort of answered that in the sense that you were always around music, but let's ask the question this way. What was the first concert you went to with your own money, where you went and bought a ticket or paid a...
So that's a very interesting idea, because as an artist, I can actually say, and I don't want to throw the cover away, is that I've been gifted these opportunities a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so I didn't necessarily have to spend my own money.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I just did is I was in New York City on a live theater spree. And I think I was excited to pay more for this one ticket. I bought the last one than I have ever paid in all of the money I think that I've spent for tickets.
Really? Okay. All right.
And I felt good about it.
Yeah.
I was proud to invest in the arts because I have gotten favor and comps and the benefit of gifts and things like that. Don't take that for granted, because I appreciate as an artist and also as a producer the benefit of buying tickets.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to your point, that one is significant to me because of how excited I was. It didn't even really almost matter how much. I'm like, I work hard. I'm in New York. I'm buying this ticket. It was the last one. I wanted to see the show.
You want to share which one? You don't have to.
It was Purpose. It was amazing. And then I bought me a glass of champagne to enjoy it.
Good.
And you don't have, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was a great experience. As far as the show, what I remember early, I think, was the Jackson 5s came to Memphis. It was a city event. And in South Memphis, on the roof of one of the department stores. They landed on a helicopter, did a performance. The community was out on the parking lot, didn't buy a ticket.
Wow.
We just knew about it from community outreach or whatever, and we're there. Same neighborhood that school I went to early on with the amazing teacher and the early kinesthetic experiences. Same neighborhood.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. Didn't buy that ticket, but it's the concert that was very, very effective in public performance for me, in Memphis particularly.
That's amazing. All right. I could ask you a million more questions, but we are out of time. Yeah, we'll have you back. Maybe when you start the 2026 series, we'll get you on and kind of talk about what's coming up with that. Again, Cequita Monique, the first Sunday Jazz Jam pop-up series at Center for Southern Folklore, coming up November 2nd and then December 7th. You can get tickets at Eventbrite. Search for Center for Southern Folklore or Cequita Monique. Thanks very much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Eric. It was a blast.
All right. That's all the time we have, though. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.